And Kev Sutherland, the comic writer and performer, who also runs the UK's biggest annual comics festival. Kevin, your witnesses.
Kev, you know far more about graphic novels and comics than I do. What's the power of this book?
The power of this resides in the fact that we're telling two stories, two very distinct stories, and the way in which Art Spiegelman has found to tell them. The first story is the story of Vladek Spiegelman, that is, Art Spiegelman's father, who survived Auschwitz through luck, which comes about through him having these hunches that pay out, and through his diligence. We see Vladek Spiegelman, this man who really, by such duplicitous things as pretending to be a tin man, gets the tin man's job working in Auschwitz and avoids death that way. And then the next day he has to pretend to be a shoemaker. He finds his way out that way. So we've got Vladek's story. The second story, though, is how Art Spiegelman gets that story from Vladek Spiegelman. And he tells with a very simple honesty how he's got the story from his father and recounts the moments at which the father tells the story. The then important part is the way in which he's told this story.
Somebody described this book as presenting the unspeakable through the diminutive. That's a good description, isn't it?
It is, because the diminutive nature, he doesn't sensationalise in any way. There's no exaggeration. There's none of the conceits that you can do in graphic storytelling. You can punch up, you can emphasise, you can make big, you can make bold. And he's very, not contrivedly but deliberately, made sure he doesn't do that. This is told with very simple and gentle pacing. It uses many of the skills of overlaying that can be done in this form and couldn't necessarily be done so convincingly in any other form. But he doesn't, for example, play on the heartstrings. He's not Spielberg. He's not making us cry. He's in his own father's words, and in fact in his father's broken English, we have all of the ways he spoke. He hasn't transcribed, or rather he has transcribed. He hasn't just taken notes and put them straight into pictures. His father tells in his own words what's happening, and that, without any editorialising, is beautifully simple and honest.
Using the animals' faces never renders it cute, though, at all, does it?
Oh, far from it. No, they are... They don't have emotions coming across in those faces, and yet all the surroundings that are there are realistically rendered in a simple, almost woodcut-like style that puts you there without any question.
How would you convince the people in the audience that have never read a graphic novel to pick this one up?
Well, the first thing I'd say is forget that you're reading a graphic novel. Forget any qualms or prejudices that you might have about the art form. By the end of this, you will forget you ever had such prejudices. Forget any qualms or prejudices you might have about reading what you may think is just another Holocaust memoir, because, of course, many such stories have been told. By the time you reach the end of this, you'll realise it is much, much more than that. And the other important thing is, the subject matter here is something that we should never forget. And this book, Maus, ensures that many more people will never forget.